In late August 2023, the defense minister of the People's Republic of China stopped showing up to meetings. His name was Li Shangfu. He was 65 years old. He had been handpicked, personally vetted, and personally elevated by Xi Jinping 7 months earlier. He never returned. No press conference, no statement. The Pentagon, trying to schedule a call with him, was told the Chinese side was, and this is the official word, unavailable. 8 months later, Li Shangfu was expelled from the Communist Party. So was his predecessor, Wei Fenghe, also Xi's pick. So was a foreign minister, Qin Gang, who had vanished one summer afternoon in 2023 and never came back. So was the entire top command of the Rocket Force, the unit that controls China's nuclear missiles. 2 defense ministers, 1 foreign minister, the leadership of the nuclear arsenal, all gone. All personally appointed by Xi, all erased, quietly, in 18 months. This is a story of a man who sits at the summit of power on earth and is becoming more frightened of the people he himself put there with every month that passes. By the end of the video, you will know why. The Boy in the Cave. Most stories about Xi Jinping start with him in a suit. I want to start with him in a cave. In 1969, a 15-year-old Xi Jinping was sent to a village called Liangjiaye in the lowest hills of Shanxi. No electricity, no paved road, pit toilets. He slept on a stone bed crawling with fleas. He hauled coal up a hillside. Here's a part that almost never leads the documentary. This was the son of a man who, 8 years earlier, had been vice premier of China. Xi's father, Xi Jinping, had fought next to Mao. He was, by any sane reading, untouchable. Then Mao decided he wasn't. Xi's father was paraded through stadiums with a placard around his neck. His mother was forced on a public stage to denounce her own husband. His half-sister was hounded until she hanged herself. The teenage Xi tried to run away from the cave 4 times. Each time the party caught him. Each time the party sent him back. Then hold this number, because that explains everything that comes later. Xi Jinping applied to join the same Communist Party that had destroyed his family 10 separate times before they finally let him in. I see the bullpens and how people can blow hot and cold. Xi Jinping 2000. Every purge of the next 40 years is hiding inside that sentence. The man they thought was boring. In November 2012, Xi was announced as General Secretary. The US State Department called him pragmatic. The party kingmakers thought they could manage him. Within 10 years, he had abolished term limits on his own job and become the most concentrated source of power Asia had seen since Mao. But the rivals were only the appetizer. Tigers, flies, and rockets. On paper, Xi calls it an anti-corruption campaign, tigers and flies. By the end of his first term, more than 1.5 million party members had been disciplined. By the end of his second, the campaign had crossed into a place no Chinese leader since Mao had dared go: the military. In the summer of 2023, the entire top leadership of the People's Liberation Army Rocket Force, the unit that controls China's nuclear missiles, was replaced overnight. Commander, commissar, deputies, no explanation. Several, Western press later confirmed, were under criminal investigation. Some never publicly resurfaced. That same summer, Foreign Minister Qin Gang vanished. By autumn, so had Defense Minister Li Shangfu. Quick game. Of the senior officials purged in 2023, how many had been personally appointed by Xi? Almost all of them. That is the part that broke every Western analyst model. The 2013 purges removed Xi's rivals. That made sense. The 2023 purges removed his own loyalists. Men he picked. Men whose only sin was reporting back something he didn't want to hear. China watchers have started calling it, quietly, a Stalin logic. The point isn't to clean up corruption. The point is to make sure no one underneath you ever feels safe. The night the building emptied. On the 29th of December, 2023, the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress did something with almost no parallel in modern Communist Party history. In a single afternoon, it removed 9 senior military officials from their posts. Among them, 3 recent commanders of the rocket force, aerospace engineers with classified knowledge of how China's nuclear arsenal actually works, men who had, in several cases, been promoted by Xi personally. 9 men, one afternoon, no credible explanation. The last time a Chinese leader did something on that scale in a single sitting, the name on the order was Mao. The 2027 problem. Now we need to talk about Taiwan. In 2021, the director of the CIA told the US Senate that Xi had ordered the People's Liberation Army to be ready to invade Taiwan by 2027. That sentence reshaped Pentagon budgets, Asian foreign policy, and 1,000 documentary thumbnails. But the director closed his words carefully. He said ready. He did not say will. What US intelligence increasingly believes is that Xi wants the option, not the war. He prefers a slower path, a naval blockade, cyber attacks on Taiwanese power and water, severing the undersea cables, strangling Taiwan economically until reunification looks like the only sensible exit. And here's a part almost no one says out loud. There's one very good reason Xi might prefer a blockade over an invasion. He does not, after these purges, fully trust his own military to win it. The men who would have planned that invasion, the rocket force commanders, the defense ministers, the equipment chiefs, are the same men he had erased. A leader preparing to invade does not remove the men who would lead the invasion. A leader afraid of being betrayed does. What Trump changed. In November 2024, the largest single variable on Xi's strategic map changed shape. Donald Trump won. A second Trump administration is, by design, transactional. It does not draw bright red lines around old commitments. On the campaign trail, Trump floated tariffs up to 60% on Chinese goods. He suggested Taiwan would pay for American protection. The old assumptions of the post-1979 Asia-Pacific were now negotiable. For Xi, this is, at the same time, an enormous opportunity and an enormous threat. The opportunity: if Trump signals he won't defend Taiwan militarily, Xi can move on the island under cover of a transactional bargain. The threat: a 60% tariff, landing on an economy already deflating, could break Chinese growth in a single year and push youth unemployment past the line Beijing's own social management system can absorb. Which is why the most carefully watched line in Xi's recent speeches is not the part about Taiwan. It is a part where he keeps using 3 phrases: self-reliance, extreme conditions, preparing for struggle. He is not bluffing. He may also not be confident. The quiet fall. While the cameras have been on Beijing's politics, something quieter has been happening underneath. The economy Xi promised would overtake America has spent the last several years going the wrong way. Factory prices have fallen year over year for more than 3 straight years, the longest deflationary stretch China has seen in a generation. Home prices have been falling for 4.5 years. Whole new build developments outside second-tier cities stand half-finished and empty. Consumer confidence has cratered. The last time Beijing was willing to publish urban youth unemployment without redefining it, the official number was above 20%. Independent economists put the real figure closer to 40%. The 2025 growth target was the lowest since the early 1990s. If you're wondering why the man at the top of all of this is busy purging his own generals, that chart is part of the answer. When the legitimacy machine of the Chinese Communist Party, which is essentially "we will make you rich," starts to slow, the other legitimacy machine, "we will keep you safe from corrupt elites," gets switched on harder. The economy is the engine. The paranoia is the exhaust. The friend with no limits. A few weeks before Russian tanks crossed into Ukraine, Xi and Vladimir Putin signed a 5,300-word declaration. They called their friendship "no limits." 18 days later, Russia invaded. In the years since, Xi has spoken with Putin more than with any other foreign leader on earth. He has bought Russian oil at a discount, sold Russia the electronics to keep its drone factories running, and, by every credible Western assessment, kept the Russian war economy alive. The lesson Xi is drawing out loud in his own speeches is that the West has thrown the largest wave of sanctions in modern history at Russia and failed to break it. He has concluded in public that the West is, in his own words, in decline. Whether he is right is one of the largest open questions in the world. What matters is that he believes it. The man with no heir. There's one more piece of this story almost nobody wants to say on camera. Xi Jinping is 71 years old. For 2 years now, a steady current of rumors has run through Beijing watcher circles, a tremor in his right hand at certain state events, unusual absences, whispers, completely unconfirmed, of a stroke. Chinese state media has said nothing. The party has said nothing. None of those rumors may be true, but most probably aren't. That is not what matters. What matters is that Xi has spent the last decade dismantling, brick by brick, the succession system the party built after the chaos of Mao's death. No heir apparent, no designated successor, no tradition of grooming one. The Politburo Standing Committee is packed with men whose entire political identity is loyalty to him. If Xi had a serious medical event tomorrow morning, there's no agreed plan for what happens next, no second chair. That is what terrifies, privately, even the men who climb the mountain next to him, not whether his health is good. The question of what the building they are standing in actually looks like, if the man at the top of it is not. What it adds up to. So, let's put it together. Xi Jinping rules a country sliding into deflation, whose property market has been falling for half a decade, whose young people are unemployed at a rate the government no longer reliably publishes, whose top generals are vanishing, including the ones he himself appointed, whose closest international partner is losing a war in Europe, whose largest counterparty is, again, Donald Trump, and whose succession plan does not, in any meaningful sense, exist. Inside all of that, one man sits at the top, older than at any moment in his rule, with no heir, with every checkpoint between himself and the missile codes carefully removed, with a tremor nobody's allowed to discuss. It is tempting, especially in the West, to look at this and conclude we are watching a strongman at the peak of his power. The harder question is whether we are watching the opposite, a man alone at the top of an empty mountain, because the heir up there is the only heir he can finally trust. The most dangerous moment in the life of a paranoid ruler is not when he is strong, it is when he is strong and afraid at the same time. If you want the next chapter, the money trail, how Chinese state capital has been quietly buying into ports, mines, and Hollywood studios on 5 continents, that video is on the right side of your screen. And one favor, don't hit subscribe, hit the bell, because the next time something happens in that part of the world, you're going to want to know first.